How would you like to feel like you just got back from vacation in just a matter of a few hours? That's what active recovery can do for you. And whether you're working long hours to the point of exhaustion or training hard for your sport, in this video we're going to be talking about active recovery and how you can use it to keep performing your best for the long haul. What's up everybody? Welcome back to the Find Your Flow channel, where we talk about performing your best and spending more time in that peak state of flow. When it comes to flow and peak performance, recovery is an underappreciated aspect of the formula and lifestyle that must be in place. Because continuing to flow and perform your best means constantly pushing your skill and challenge further and further, you must recover well in order for your body to adapt to the changes, whether they are physical or mental. Generally in sports, this is done pretty well, where athletes, especially at the top level, take their recovery more seriously than most of us do. But when it comes to recovery, we most often think about those passive forms. When you get home from a long day of work and you're feeling mentally exhausted, if you're a knowledge worker, you've been using your brain all day in a relatively sedentary job, working at a desk. And when you feel super drained, your go-to is to veg out in front of the TV with a pint of ice cream. This passive form of recovery can help you to turn your brain off for a little bit, but not in a complete shutdown way. And it also isn't going to allow you to get back to baseline and recover beyond that further the way that active recovery can. You do need mental and emotional recovery from your cognitively demanding job, but your body may still physically need to work in order to balance out those competing demands. And that's where active recovery can also include things that are more physical, that are going to help you with improving your cardiovascular health and balance that way. So let's talk about how you can deploy active recovery for yourself in order to improve your performance and recovery. So the first step is to change your mental state. You want to create a shift, particularly in your mental state, from however it's turned on during work. So this often means if you're going all in on your active recovery, you want to be able to tune out completely. So this may mean turning off all of your devices and unplugging during that time that you've scheduled for your active recovery activities. It may help to do some deep breathing as you shift into that active recovery mode. And think of this time as your chance to power down, just like you would log off of your devices at the end of a workday. Whether it's at the end of your workday or on the weekend, this is your chance to unwind. And step 2 is to reset your nervous system. If you do active recovery right, it should feel like you've just spent a week on vacation, even though it may only be a few hours spent during that active recovery practice. That blissed out state after a vacation is achievable within a day or even a few hours if you do this practice right. To reset your nervous system once you've shifted off of work mode and turned everything off, there are a number of different activities or options that you can go with for active recovery practices. And I suggest that you try them all out at least a couple of times to know which ones work best for you and what you're going to focus and prioritize on as your number one ways to recover the best that you can. So some of the examples of things that you can do include exercise, going into float tanks or sensory deprivation tanks, cold therapy, sauna and contrast therapy. Anything that gets you out of your comfort zone can really shift a lot of your nervous system state as well. There's things like getting into nature, whether it's going for a walk or doing exercise in nature is another great way, or just going for a long walk in general can really help with this active recovery practice. And sex and sleep are also ways that we can include more active recovery into our routine. Sleep is one that often we think of as more of a passive practice, but it's really an important step in memory consolidation and learning. And so make sure that prioritizing sleep is one of those big ones that you can really work on when it comes to active recovery. And then the third step here is to make sure that you look at active recovery just as important as you do your actual work. We often forget that our short-term efforts are often going to be forgotten in the long run. And so grinding away at individual projects or single days at a time without thinking about the long term and how this is affecting your recovery or whether you're running towards burnout is a recipe for disaster. You want to make sure that you keep that long-term goal in mind at all times, and that's where including active recovery is really an important step in peak performance and continuing on your journey. So instead of endlessly trying to cram more work into each individual day, remember to schedule in your active recovery at least a few times a week so that you can keep recharging and not risk that crashing and burning out feeling that you get when you just push yourself too far for too long. You don't want to end each day feeling so exhausted that all you can do is crash down in front of the TV and then head to bed in a semi-comatose state while not feeling fully recharged the next day. Make sure that you set yourself up for long-term success by including more active recovery. And this can be really hard to do and to implement on a regular basis. Just like finding flow regularly takes some activation energy, you need to leave a little bit of energy in the tank in order to actually move towards or get started with whatever active recovery practices you're going to save for the end of the workday or on the weekends, so that you're not to the point of breaking where you can't even get started with it. And I find it really helpful to know that the best performers do take this very seriously and incorporate this time into their schedule to ensure their long-term success. So keep that in mind for yourself as well. If you want to learn more about recovery and its effects on performance, there's a whole playlist to it on this channel. And there's also a video you can check out on the benefits of cold plunges if you want to watch that next. And until the next video, dream on and find your flow.